ReadAloud. We have Jessica Mensah from the Clarence Mingo's office of the Auditor for Franklin County. She's a former music teacher, and originally from the Cleveland area, but is now permanently residing here in Columbus. And she's going to read to us today excerpts from Wading Home. That's Wading, W-A-D-I-N-G, Wading Home. And I'll just let her get started, if that's okay.
Sure, that is fine. Thank you. Once again, I'm Jessica. I am the administrative assistant for Franklin County's Auditor Department with Clarence Mingo. Just started working here in October. So I worked with the Board of Revision, who helps lower the property value of homes. We know how the economy has been. Worked there for 2 months, and now I'm the administrative assistant. So I like to be around people because I'm more in a quiet office area. I am reading Wading Home. Can everyone hear me? Everyone can hear me? Okay. I can use my big, loud teacher voice, so that's fine with me. Stumbled across this book just trying to find something to read while my daughter was at the library and share her love of reading. I highly encourage you to read it. I know I'm not going to finish reading it today. I wanted to do excerpts of it, but because New Orleans and Louisiana has such a rich history, I have to kind of read through, and the action goes very fast. It's more related to the Hurricane Katrina story. So it's a historical fiction, which Ms. Sesko advised me, because it has a lot of history in it, but the people, of course, are fictional. So, but you can imagine this being a very true story. So I am going to sit down after a while. I want to make sure my voice is nice and loud. Feel free to close your eyes and use the rich imagery of the book. That way you're not staring at me and make me really embarrassed, So I'll start reading. I'm going to skip the intro. I will advise you the people. I was telling Ms. Sesko that because the events with Hurricane Katrina happened so quickly and without notice, and everything just happened one event after another, she wrote her book in the same fashion. Sometimes you don't know who's really talking. You have to let them finish talking, and then you say, oh, it must be this character. It must be this character. And I naturally kind of changed my voice while she's moving to different characters. So you're going to hear some funny things, but it's in character of the story. So this is Wading Home. The author is Rosalyn Story. And we're going to start with chapter 1. New Orleans, August 2005. So just think about that time frame. Across the whole city, stillness lurks like a shadowy intruder. No noise of cars, trucks, buses, or streetcars, and instead, an unseemly quiet, except for the rustle of the cypress leaves. On the river near its crescent, a moored barge floats. A silent steamboat hugs the dock. And nearby, the Vogue car stands oddly muted, its rowdiest bars quiet as an empty church. Up and down the blocks of the old Shrimp, amid the rows of century-old wood-framed houses where neighbors' music usually seeps from open doors and windows, from the oldest Carmier boys' sousaphone hoots, or Cordelia Lautrec's Little Angel's Daughter's piano scales, and eerie music holds all the random noises of the neighborhood, yielding to the stealthy overtures of a storm. In Simon's kitchen, a streak of late summer sun angles through back door blinds and sends a blade of gold across his stove. The old man stirs a huge iron pot of beans, only a Camellia brand will do, for his domino night supper of red beans and rice. Leaning a bristly chin over the pot, tasting a spoonful of the liquor, he sprinkles a dash of salt with artful, experienced hands as the steam fogs his glasses, and his cataract-weakened eyes squint into the pungent whiff of garlic and thyme. He dips the spoon in for another taste, then glances out the thin pane of the back door window as the still light sky, and sucks his tongue. The sun, usually in slow retreat on August evenings, will surely fade quickly tonight. I have to read a few. I hate to interrupt the story, but these are some of the characters. Simon Fortier is the father. He's a New Orleans native, He's in his 70s. Julian Fortier is his son. He is a jazz musician. He's a trumpeter. Genevieve is Simon's sister, the older man's sister. Vilmyra is an ex-girlfriend of Julian. They make reference to Jacob, which is Simon's dad, who is deceased, as well as his sister, Aunt Marie, and his wife is deceased, Ladina. So when you hear these names, you'll have a little more background about who they are. Continuing with the story. Okay. With no neighbor's music to entertain his dinner preparation, must have left town for higher ground, and only the cash-strapped or the fearless have hunkered down to brave out the night. Simon hums an old Pops Armstrong standard in a warbled, gritty baritone. Give me a kiss to build a dream on. He stirs his beans as the starch breaks down and thickens the soup. Wielding the splintered old spoon Auntie Marie gave him some 60 years ago, with a clean white hanky from his back pocket, he blots the sweet beading on his forehead and turns down the flame. A loud flap from the backyard breaks the quiet. Oh, no, Simon groans, knowing what's happened. It's surely what he's feared for years. Simon wipes greasy fingers on a dish towel, slaps it down onto the counter, and opens the back door to assess the damage. Sure enough, the giant live oak planted by his daddy on the day Simon was born 76 years ago now stands an unbalanced amputee, its long bottom limb lying on the ground. Simon shakes his head, rests a hand on his hip. That branch was rotten for sure. Too many storm seasons, too many nights like tonight. But he pushes back a thought. Could be an omen. Something about to break apart tonight. Something about to change. Stooping down to the ground slowly and favoring the weak place in his back, he drags the branch to the side of the house, opens the storage shed door and hauls it inside, lungs winded and legs stiff. He dusts his dry hands on the legs of his khaki trousers. With a wild storm on its way, that big branch could easily take flight and slam into somebody's window, like what happened with the one they called Betsy. Maybe even his window. That wouldn't do. Maybe he should board up his windows like the Du Bois up the street. Or maybe he should have before. Too late now. Simon pulls his cotton shirt collar around his neck against the wind whipping through the tall pecans that separate his yard from the moutons. The air was heavy, thick and warmish, with clouds curling in quick choreography, the breeze carrying the faintest scent of salt water drifting in from the Gulf, the sky changing fast. Looking up in awe, Simon smiles, despite their frightening intent. The shape-shifting clouds are beautiful, plump tusks of gunmetal gray, silver-rimmed, reflected, reluctant light still blazing through. On the west side of the house, near a pile of chopped wood along the chain-link fence, Simon's herb garden shivers, looks a little wind-whipped. Maybe he should cover him with burlap. He grows everything himself for his cooking, always has, like Auntie Marie taught him. More than 30 years as head chef at a top-drawer French Quarter restaurant hadn't dulled his taste for the freshest basil and thyme he could get. And even now, 6 years after his last shift at Parmenter's, he still demanded the best ingredients for his own table, even though he mostly dined alone. He stoops and snaps off a leaf of the lavender, crushes it in his fingertips, inhales the sweet scent as a slender face blossoms in his mind. Lavender in the garden had been Ladina's idea, and on her final birthday, he had surprised her with a sachet of homemade potpourri for her sickbed pillow. Dried lavender leaves, orange and lemon rinds, store-bought cloves. If he'd known the smile his wife surrendered up at that moment would be her last, he'd have framed it in his memory. The other herbs, the oregano, the mint, the basil, now tall as the fence, bow under the hand he runs across their heads. He will have a lot to prepare tomorrow. Simon glances at his watch. The beans have been on almost an hour now. Sylvia, mad as she was at him, had already said she wasn't coming, not even to say goodbye. And if none of the men were going to stop by for a bowl or two of the best red beans and rice in town, just as they had done for the last 7 years, well then, tough luck for them. This andouille sausage was the best he ever made. He and his buddies in the Elegant Gents were among the oldest members of the neighborhood's social aid and pleasure clubs, and didn't limit their gatherings to the occasional parades through the neighborhood, when they strut like black kings in their handsome stitched shirts of blue paisley and matching hats, white suspenders, and Johnston and Murphy shoes, the hot brass band riffs licking through the wind. No, unlike some of the other S&Ps, the Gents were like brothers, friends, old and true friends, at least his, made a point of laughing and lying and signifying over cooking pots and dominoes once a week, come hell or high water, but not hurricane. Let's see if I can skip down. A car horn toots. The rattling complaint of a well-used Toyota Camry announcing Sylvia's arrival. She must have changed her mind. Simon's face breaks into a wide grin. Maybe there'll be some company for this storm night after all. Simon calls out as Sylvia parks along his front fence. Just in time. Red beans will be ready in about 20 minutes. My, looking good today. But didn't she always? Sylvia McConnell, wearing her 68 years gently, stylishly, steps out in green capri pants and a yellow cotton top, leans her backside against the door, slender arms folded across her chest and ankles crossed. A scarf of light blue silk tied under her chin stands beneath her freshly curled and dyed hair, and the capricious winds of Louisiana summer. Even now, Simon notes, even in retreat from a hurricane, she found time to help keep her standing appointment at Miss Lou's. My sister and them called from Shreveport. The brother-in-law is bringing his mama, but they still got room if I need to bring somebody else. A divorced English teacher from Weagley High, an old acquaintance of Simon's and Ladina's from Blessed Redeemer congregation. Sylvia reveled in the freedom of retirement, spending most of her days playing bridge, singing high soprano in the gospel choir, occasionally watching Simon cook, and listening to his animated diatribes on his life's loves, cooking, his talented and smart as a whip son, Julian, and a perfect piece of land called Silver Creek. A year after Ladina died, when the shine of his grief had dulled, Simon's padlocked world had unlatched to invite Sylvia in. Time had tamed the rough edges of mourning, and Simon needed a new comfort, the living, breathing kind. On a Wednesday morning, when his car battery failed and he had no way to prayer meeting, he remembered last Sunday, the high soprano floating above all the others and lead me, guide me. Sister McConnell gave him a ride and in time a reason to dream again. She was funny, spirited like Ladina, with a twist of sass. She could cook up a mean etouffee, not as good as his. And whenever his spirits darkened, there was that laugh that could soften a man's heart and make his blues disappear like swamp mist beneath the full sun. Now don't even start. I already told you what I'm doing. Shaking her head, she turns to look up at the sky as a heavy gust sweeps through the trees. Don't be a fool, Simon. You need to get out of this place. And for the next 3 minutes straight, she rails on about his foolishness. The storm will be the worst ever. Everybody with 4 wheels and half a brain is leaving, and so on. When she sees his eyes shut down, the thick bunched veins in his temple twitch and his mouth clamped shut, she recognizes her cue to stop. For a moment, they look at each other in unyielding silence. Sylvia's glance falls to Simon's khaki pants, where the tree branch has left a swath of dirt. What happened to you? Looking down, Simon scraped his thumbnail at the L-shaped mark. Oh, damn. Oh, lost a branch. Sylvia sighs. See there? Already, she sucks her cheek. Somebody trying to tell you something. Ignoring the fact that he had the same thought only a few minutes ago, he turns to walk into the house. Drive careful. They already talking about traffic backed up. You better get on your way if you're going. For all his testiness, it might have been her bossy strain, her spitfire nature that kept him interested. It was as if Ladina had left a little bit of herself in this woman to watch after him, remind him when he was being careless. He liked that, being looked after, being cared after, even when he didn't listen, even when he stiffened his shoulders against the headwind of her complaints. At the steps, he turns back to her, his tone kinder. I'll save you some of my envy. You're not going to believe how good these beans are. Best pot I ever made. The feathery breeze ruffles her scarf as she pulls it closer. Does that pot float? You best put those beans in some Tupperware. Eat well, baby, because you'll need your strength in case you have to swim. He ignores that too. Sure you don't want to stay? I'll make it worth your while, he winks. Laughing, she shakes her head again. Simon Fortier, I'll be praying for your sorry butt in my sister's dry house. She gets in the car and leans an elbow out the window. By the way, you might as well know I stopped by because Julian called me, asked me to check on you. He said you all had some words. Did he call back? Simon's skin prickles. 2 weeks since their blow-up over Parmenter, and still their words stumbled, broken and bruised into the growing gulf between them. And yesterday, when his son had called from New York, told him to stop acting like a crazy old fool, even offered him a plane ticket. A slow dirge of hurt still played in Simon's head. He quietly hung up the phone in the middle of Julian's rant. Sometimes, Simon swore, all that fame business had gotten to that boy's head, made him forget who really was his daddy in this deal.